Dr. Lisa Martinez rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been staring at the same test results for over an hour, but the numbers still did not make sense. Maya Johnson, a 22-year-old college student from Ohio, had just done something that should have been impossible. Maya had scored 100% on the Advanced Xenobiology Assessment. This was not just any test. It was the hardest exam ever created about alien life forms. The world's smartest scientists had written the questions after humans first met aliens 2 years ago. The test was so difficult that no human had ever scored. Higher than 73%. Dr. Martinez herself had only scored 81%, and she had spent 15 years studying alien biology. She had a doctorate degree and had written books about space creatures. Yet this young woman from a small town had beaten her score by nearly 20 points. The strangest part was that Maya Johnson was not even a science student. Her major was art history. She painted pictures and studied old paintings for her classes. She had never taken a single biology course in college. Dr. Martinez picked up her phone and called her supervisor. "We have a problem," she said. "Someone just broke our testing system." 3 states away, Agent Kevin Barnes was drinking his 3rd cup of coffee when his computer beeped. It was almost 4 in the morning, but the FBI's Anomalous Intelligence Division never slept. Strange things happened at all hours, and it was Kevin's job to investigate them. The report on his screen made him sit up straight. Maya Johnson's name had appeared in their database 7 times in the past 6 months. Each time she had taken a different advanced test, and each time she had scored perfectly, or nearly perfectly. Kevin opened the files one by one. Maya had aced tests in quantum mechanics, stellar cartography, alien languages, and theoretical physics. These were not normal college exams. They were professional assessments used by NASA, the Space Force, and top universities. Most people needed years of training just to understand the questions. Yet Maya Johnson, an art student from Millerville, Ohio, had somehow gained access to all these tests and had passed them with flying colors. The testing centers were spread across the country. Some required security clearances to enter. Others needed special invitation codes that only experts received. Kevin reached for his phone to call Dr. Nathan Cole, the FBI's chief science advisor. Nathan answered on the first ring, as if he had been expecting the call. "You saw the Johnson file," Nathan said without waiting for Kevin to speak. "How is this possible?" Kevin asked. "Is she cheating somehow?" "That's what I thought at first," Nathan replied. "But I've been digging deeper. She's not cheating, Kevin. I've checked the testing environments, reviewed security footage, and even had our people watch her during some of the exams. Maya Johnson is legitimately demonstrating knowledge that exceeds what any human should know." Kevin felt a chill run down his spine. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that a 22-year-old art student knows more about alien technology than our top scientists. She understands physics concepts that we're still trying to figure out. She can read alien languages that we've barely begun to translate." The line went quiet for a moment. Kevin stared out his office window at the dark Washington, D.C. streets. 2 years ago, humanity had made first contact with an alien species called the Zephyrians. It had changed everything. New technologies, new sciences, new questions about humanity's place in the universe. But it had also created new problems. The government now had to monitor anyone who showed unusual knowledge about alien affairs. There were too many security risks, too many unknowns. "Have you ruled out alien contact?" Kevin asked. "That's the million-dollar question," Nathan said. "Either Maya Johnson is in communication with an alien intelligence, or she's something else entirely. Something we don't understand yet." Kevin grabbed his jacket from the back of his chair. "I'm going to Ohio. Set up surveillance on her immediately. But keep it light. We don't want to spook her until we know what we're dealing with. Already done, Nathan said. Agent Rebecca Stone is en route. She'll pose as a graduate student, researching exceptional academic achievements. 2 hours later, Kevin was on a plane to Ohio, reading through Maya Johnson's file. She had grown up in Millerville, a town with 8,000 people and 2 traffic lights. Her parents had died in a car accident when she was 16. Since then, she had lived with her grandmother above the family bakery on Main Street, Maya's. School records showed she was a good student, but not exceptional. She got mostly B's and a few A's. She played volleyball in high school and volunteered at the local animal shelter. After graduation, she had enrolled at Ohio State University to study art history. Nothing in her background suggested she should be able to understand advanced alien science. She had never shown interest in physics or biology. Her high school science grades were average at best. Yet somehow, in the past 6 months, Maya Johnson had transformed into one of the most knowledgeable people on Earth about subjects she had never formally studied. Kevin flipped through surveillance photos taken near Maya's apartment. She looked like any other college student. She wore jeans and sweaters, carried a backpack full of art books, and worked part-time at the town library. She spent her evenings painting landscapes of the Ohio countryside, but there were odd details that didn't fit. Maya had been seen purchasing advanced mathematics textbooks from online stores. She had ordered books about stellar physics and alien biology. Most strangely, she had been spotted taking notes in what appeared to be alien script. The FBI's translation team had tried to decode some of her handwriting from photos, but they could only identify a few symbols as possibly Zephyrian. The rest was completely unknown dot as Kevin's plane descended toward Ohio. He wondered what they would find in Millerville. Was Maya Johnson a genius who had somehow taught herself advanced alien science? Was she in contact with extraterrestrial beings? Or was she something else entirely? Something that could change humanity's understanding of intelligence and knowledge? One thing was certain. Maya Johnson had attracted the attention of every intelligence agency in the country. The question now was whether she was a threat to national security or the key to humanity's future among the stars. The plane touched down just as the sun was rising over Ohio. Kevin looked out the window at the flat farmland stretching to the horizon. Somewhere in this peaceful countryside was a young woman who might hold the answers to questions humanity was just beginning to ask. Agent Stone's voice came through his earpiece as he walked through the airport. Target has been located. She's at the local library, helping elderly patrons with computer problems. Kevin, you need to see this girl in person. There's something about her that doesn't match the file. Kevin felt his pulse quicken. After 2 years of studying alien contact, he thought he understood the rules of first contact. But Maya Johnson was about to prove that humanity still had much to learn about the universe and their place in it. Agent Rebecca Stone parked her rental car outside the Millerville Public Library and checked her appearance in the mirror. She wore simple clothes and carried a backpack full of graduate school materials. To anyone watching, she looked like a typical college student doing research for her thesis. The library was small and cozy, with tall windows that let in the morning sunlight. Rebecca could smell coffee brewing somewhere in the back. An elderly woman sat behind the front desk, stamping books with a satisfied smile. "Excuse me," Rebecca said, approaching the desk. "I'm looking for Maya Johnson. I heard she works here part-time." The woman looked up with kind eyes. "Oh, Maya's wonderful. She's in the computer section helping Mr. Peterson with his email again. Such a patient girl." Rebecca followed the woman's directions to a corner of the library were several old computers sat on wooden tables. She spotted Maya immediately. A young woman was kneeling beside an elderly man, gently guiding his fingers across the keyboard. "Just click here, Mr. Peterson," Maya was saying. See how the message opens up? Your granddaughter sent you pictures of her new puppy. The old man's face lit up. Look at that little fella. Maya, you're a lifesaver. I don't know what I'd do. Without your help, Rebecca watched from behind a bookshelf. Maya looked exactly like her photos, but there was something different about seeing her in person. The young woman had a calm, peaceful presence that seemed to make everyone around her feel better. After Mr. Peterson left with his printed photos, Rebecca approached Maya. Hi, I'm Rebecca Stone. I'm a graduate student from Columbia University. I'm doing research on exceptional academic achievements, and I heard you might be able to help me. Maya looked up with curious eyes. What kind of research? I'm studying people who show unusual abilities in subjects they've never formally studied, Rebecca said, sticking to her cover story. Your professors mentioned that you've been doing remarkably well on some advanced tests. A strange expression crossed Maya's face, but it was gone so quickly that Rebecca almost missed it. I don't know what you mean. I just study art history. Of course, Rebecca said with a friendly smile. Would you mind if I bought you coffee sometime? I'd love to hear about your study methods. Maya agreed, and they arranged to meet the next day at the local coffee shop. As Rebecca left the library, she spoke quietly into her hidden microphone. First contact made. Subject seems normal on the surface, but there's something beneath. She knew exactly what I was talking about when I mentioned the tests. That evening, Rebecca drove slowly through Millerville's quiet streets. The town felt like stepping back in time. People waved at each other from their front porches. Children rode bicycles without helmets. Everyone seemed to know everyone else. Maya's apartment was above Johnson's Bakery on Main Street. Through the windows, Rebecca could see warm light and the shadow of someone moving around inside. She parked across the street and used a telephoto lens to take pictures. What she saw made her grab her phone immediately. Mia was sitting at a small table, writing in a notebook, but she wasn't using English letters. The symbols she was drawing looked like the alien script the FBI had been studying since first contact with the Zephyrians. Rebecca zoomed in as much as possible and took dozens of photos. Some of the symbols were definitely Zephyrian, but others were completely unknown. Maya was writing as naturally as if she was taking notes in her native language. Control, this is Stone, Rebecca whispered into her radio. I need an immediate analysis of some photos I'm sending. Subject is writing in what appears to be alien script. Agent Barnes' voice came back within minutes. Photos received. Our linguistics team is analyzing now. Rebecca, half of those symbols aren't in any database we have. Where did she learn this? The next morning, Rebecca met Maya at Rosie's coffee shop, the only restaurant in town that served anything besides fast food. Maya arrived carrying a canvas bag filled with art supplies and what looked like textbooks. Thanks for meeting me, Rebecca said as they sat down at a corner table. I have to admit, I'm fascinated by your story. How does an art student end up taking advanced science exams? Maya stirred sugar into her coffee slowly. Who says I've been taking science exams? Well, the testing centers have records, Rebecca said carefully. You've scored remarkably well on some very difficult assessments. For a long moment, Maya just looked at her. Rebecca had the uncomfortable feeling that she was being studied, as if Maya could see right through her cover story. You're not really a graduate student, are you? Maya asked quietly. Rebecca's training kicked in. Never break cover unless absolutely necessary. Of course I am. Why would you think otherwise? Maya smiled sadly. Because graduate students doing research on academic achievement would know that those tests aren't available to the public. Most of them require security clearances or special invitations. A real researcher would know that. Rebecca felt her heart racing. Maya was right. Her cover story had holes that only someone with inside knowledge would notice. "Who are you really?" Maya asked. "FBI? CIA? Some other alphabet agency?" There was no point in lying anymore. "FBI. Agent Rebecca Stone. We need to understand what's happening to you, Maya. How are you accessing these tests? How are you scoring so high on subjects you've never studied?" Maya leaned back in her chair and looked out the window at the peaceful street. "I was wondering when you'd find me. I'm actually surprised it took this long. You've been expecting us?" "In a way, yes. I knew that eventually someone would notice the pattern. Perfect scores on impossible tests tend to attract attention." Rebecca pulled out a small recorder and placed it on the table. "Maya, I need you to help me understand. Are you in contact with alien beings? Have the Zephyrians been teaching you?" Maya shook her head. "It's not the Zephyrians. It's something much older. Something that's been waiting for humanity to reach a certain point in its development." "What do you mean?" Maya looked directly at Rebecca. "There are things buried beneath this town, Agent Stone. Things that have been here for thousands of years, waiting for the right time to make contact. I'm not special because I'm smart. I'm special because I was chosen." Rebecca felt a chill run down her spine. "Chosen for what?" "To be a bridge. To help humanity take its next step without losing what makes us human." Before Rebecca could ask another question, Maya's phone buzzed. She looked at it and stood up quickly. "I have to go. Mr. Miller's farm needs attention, and I promised I'd help maintain the property." "Maya, wait," Rebecca called out. "We need to talk more about this." "But—" Maya was already walking toward the door. "Follow me if you want, Agent Stone, but be prepared for what you might find. Not everything is as simple as your government thinks it is." Rebecca watched through the window as Maya walked down Main Street toward the edge of town. She quickly called Agent Barnes. "Kevin, I need backup immediately. Subject is heading to a location called Miller's Farm. And Kevin, I think we're dealing with something much bigger than we thought." Agent Rebecca Stone followed Maya Johnson's car down the winding country road that led to Miller's Farm. She stayed far enough back to avoid being seen, but close enough to keep Maya in sight. The Ohio countryside stretched out on both sides of the road, with cornfields and old barns dotting the landscape. The Miller farm had been empty for 6 months since old Joe Miller died. According to the locals, Maya had been helping to maintain the property out of kindness for Joe's memory. But Rebecca suspected there was more to it than that. Maya's car turned down a dirt road that led to the farmhouse. Rebecca parked behind a line of trees and grabbed her binoculars. She could see Maya walking across the front yard toward what looked like an ordinary wheat field. What happened next made Rebecca's blood run cold. As Maya approached a specific area of the field, wheat stalks began to bend and move, even though there was no wind. They parted like a curtain, revealing something that should not have been there. The ground underneath was not dirt and rocks. It was smooth, dark metal that reflected the afternoon sunlight. Maya walked to the center of the metal surface and knelt down. She placed her hand on what looked like a small panel, and Rebecca watched in amazement as a section of the ground opened up like a door. Steps led down into darkness below. Maya disappeared into the opening, and the metal door closed behind her. Within seconds, the wheat stalks moved back into place, hiding all evidence of what Rebecca had just witnessed. Rebecca grabbed her radio with shaking hands. "Control, this is Stone. I need immediate backup at Miller's farm. We have a situation." "Agent." Barnes' voice crackled through the radio. "What kind of situation?" "Sir, there's some kind of underground facility here. Advanced technology, possibly alien in origin. The subject just entered through a concealed entrance in the wheat field." "Are you sure about what you saw?" Rebecca looked through her binoculars again. The field looked completely normal now. If she hadn't seen it with her own eyes, she never would have believed it was there. Positive, sir. I'm sending you the GPS coordinates now. You need to get a team out here immediately. Within 2 hours, the area around Miller's farm was swarming with federal agents. Agent Barnes arrived with a team of scientists from NASA and the Department of Defense. Dr. Amanda Foster, one of the world's leading experts on alien technology, flew in from Washington on a military helicopter. They set up a command center in the old farmhouse and began scanning the area with ground-penetrating radar. What they found was almost impossible to believe. The structure is enormous, Dr. Foster announced to the assembled team. It extends nearly a mile in diameter and goes down at least 100 feet. The construction material is unlike anything we've seen before. Agent Barnes studied the radar images on the computer screen. How long has this been here? Based on the soil analysis, I'd estimate at least several hundred years, possibly much longer. But the technology is definitely not human in origin. As they were discussing their findings, Maya Johnson emerged from the wheat field. She walked calmly toward the farmhouse, showing no surprise at seeing the federal agents and their equipment. You found it, she said simply as she approached Agent Barnes. I was wondering when you would. Barnes stepped forward. Maya, we need to understand what's happening here. What is that facility? Who built it? Maya looked at the assembled agents and scientists. It's a monitoring station, built by a civilization that existed long before humans learned to use fire. They left these stations throughout the galaxy, waiting for younger species to reach a certain level of development. Dr. Foster moved closer. You're saying we're being monitored by aliens? Not monitored exactly, Maya corrected. Evaluated. When a species demonstrates the ability to travel between stars and make peaceful contact with other civilizations, the stations activate. They begin selecting individuals to serve as bridges between species. Agent Barnes felt his pulse quicken. Bridges? What do you mean? Maya sat down on the farmhouse steps, looking tired. The builders learned something important during their long history. Direct intervention in a species' development often leads to problems. Wars, stagnation, dependence. Instead, they developed a system where knowledge is gradually transferred through selected individuals. Dr. Foster's scientific mind was racing. That's why you can pass those tests. You're receiving information directly from this facility. Maya nodded. The station downloads information into my mind while I sleep. But it's not just random knowledge. It's carefully selected to help humanity advance while maintaining our essential character as a species. Agent Barnes had the question everyone was thinking. Why you, Maya? What makes you special? For the first time since they'd met her, Maya smiled. That's the beautiful part. I'm not special at all. I'm not the smartest person in town, or the most talented, or the most educated. The station doesn't choose based on intelligence or ability. Then what does it choose based on? Dr. Foster asked. Service, Maya said simply. The willingness to use knowledge to help others rather than for personal gain. The station monitored thousands of people across the country, but I was the one who consistently chose to help my community over helping myself. The implications of what Maya was saying hit everyone at the same time. Agent Barnes thought about Maya's file, how she had spent years volunteering, helping elderly people with computers, working at food drives, tutoring children. You're saying this alien technology chose you because you're a good person? Maya laughed softly. It's more complicated than that, but yes. The builders understood something that we're just beginning to learn. Technology without wisdom leads to destruction. Every civilization that survived long enough to join the galactic community had to prove they valued cooperation over conquest. Dr. Foster was writing notes frantically. How many of these stations are there? Hundreds, maybe thousands. They're buried beneath cities and towns all over the world. Each one is waiting for the right person to activate it. And they're all activating. Now? Maya shook her head. Not yet. This one activated because humanity made peaceful first contact with the Zephyrians. That was the trigger the builders were waiting for. But the other stations won't activate until humanity proves it's ready for the next level of knowledge. Agent. Barnes looked around at his team. What's the next level? Technologies that could revolutionize human civilization. Clean energy, faster than light travel, medical advances that could eliminate disease. But also weapons that could destroy entire planets if used incorrectly. The weight of responsibility settled on everyone present. Maya continued, the builders don't just give this knowledge away. Each station requires a person who will use advanced technology to help others, not to gain power or wealth. Someone who understands that true progress comes from lifting everyone up, not from climbing over others. Dr. Foster looked toward the wheat field where the hidden entrance lay. Can we access the facility? Maya stood up. Yes, but only if you come with the right intentions. The station can sense your thoughts and motivations. It won't open for anyone who wants to use its knowledge for selfish purposes. Agent Barnes made a decision that would change the course of human history. Maya, we need you to take us inside. Humanity needs to understand what we're dealing with. Maya looked at each person in the group, studying their faces. Are you sure you're ready? Once you see what's down there, there's no going back. You'll know that humanity is being evaluated by beings far older and wiser than ourselves. Dr. Foster spoke for the group. We're ready. Maya nodded and began walking toward the wheat field. Then follow me. But remember, from this moment on, everything you do will be watched and judged. The future of our entire species may depend on how we handle what we're about to discover. Maya Johnson led the team of agents and scientists across the wheat field toward the hidden entrance. Agent Barnes felt his heart pounding as they approached the spot where he had watched Maya disappear hours earlier. As they got closer, the wheat stalks began to bend and part, just as Rebecca had described. The dark metal surface underneath gleamed in the afternoon sunlight. Maya placed her hand on the control panel, and the entrance opened with a soft humming sound. Stay close to me, Maya said as they descended the steps into the facility. The station is scanning all of you right now. It's reading your thoughts, your intentions, your fears. The stairway led down into a corridor lit by panels that glowed with soft blue light. The walls were covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as they looked at them. Dr. Foster tried to photograph the symbols, but her camera could not capture them properly. The writing changes based on who's reading it, Maya explained. It appears in whatever language you understand best. Right now, you're seeing English, but I see the same information in the original builder language. They walked deeper into the facility, passing rooms filled with strange equipment and displays that showed images of stars and planets. Agent Barnes recognized some of the star patterns from NASA's deep space photographs, but others were completely unknown. How far does this place go? Dr. Foster asked in amazement. Miles in every direction, Maya replied. This is just one small section. The builders created a vast library of knowledge from dozens of civilizations that no longer exist. They entered a large circular room with a dome-shaped ceiling that displayed what looked like a real-time view of space. Stars twinkled overhead, and planets moved slowly across the artificial sky. In the center of the room stood a pillar of crystalline material that pulsed with gentle light. This is the heart of the station, Maya said. This is where I receive the knowledge downloads. Dr. Foster approached the crystal pillar carefully. How does it work? Maya placed her hand on the crystal, and suddenly the room filled with a warm, musical sound. Images began appearing in the air around them. showing the history of the builder civilization. They were explorers, Maya said, her voice taking on a dreamy quality as the knowledge flowed through her. They traveled the galaxy for millions of years, meeting new species, sharing knowledge, learning from others. But they also saw many civilizations destroy themselves with their own technology. The images showed planets torn apart by weapons, species that had poisoned their own worlds, civilizations that had turned their advanced knowledge into tools of war and oppression. So they developed the monitoring system, Maya continued. Instead of giving technology directly to younger species, they would wait and watch. When a species showed they could use knowledge wisely, the stations would activate. Agent Barnes watched the images with growing understanding, and we triggered the activation by making peaceful contact with the Zephyrians. Maya nodded. Exactly. For the first time in human history, we met another intelligent species and chose cooperation over conquest. That proved to the builders that humanity might be ready for the next step. Dr. Foster was taking notes as fast as she could. But you said there are other stations. Are they activating too? As if in response to her question, the crystal pillar began pulsing faster. New images appeared, showing locations around the world. A hospital in Brazil, a school in Kenya, a fire station in Alaska, a community center in India. It's happening now, Maya said with excitement in her voice. The network is awakening. Other people are being chosen. Agent Barnes watched as the images showed ordinary people in ordinary jobs suddenly demonstrating extraordinary knowledge. A nurse in Brazil was solving complex medical problems that had puzzled doctors for years. A teacher in Kenya was helping her students understand advanced mathematics that university professors found difficult. A firefighter in Alaska was designing new safety equipment that defied current engineering principles. They're all like you, Dr. Foster observed. People who dedicate their lives to helping others. Maya smiled. That's the point. The builders learned that the most dangerous people to give advanced technology to are those who want it for themselves. But the safest people are those who will use it to help their communities. The images continued to show more awakenings around the world. Each person selected was someone who had spent years in service to others. Social workers, volunteers, teachers, medical workers, emergency responders. All ordinary people who had made extraordinary commitments to helping those around them. What happens next? Agent Barnes asked. Maya's expression became serious. That depends on humanity's reaction. If governments try to control or weaponize this knowledge, the stations will shut down permanently. The builders have seen that pattern too many times before. Dr. Foster looked concerned. And if we handle it correctly? Then humanity joins a community of species that spans the galaxy. We gain access to knowledge that could solve every major problem our planet faces. Clean energy, space travel, medical advances, agricultural techniques that could feed everyone. On Earth, Agent Barnes felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. How do we make sure we handle it correctly? Maya looked around at the team of federal agents and scientists. By remembering what got us here in the first place. The builders didn't choose humanity because we're the smartest species in the galaxy. They chose us because we have something many advanced civilizations lose along the way. What's that? Dr. Foster asked. Compassion. The ability to put the needs of others before our own needs. Every person being activated by the stations has spent their life proving that they care more about helping others than helping themselves. The crystal pillar pulsed again, and new information flowed into Maya's mind. She gasped as the knowledge hit her. The Zephyrians, she said breathlessly. They went through this same process 300 years ago. They had their own monitoring stations, their own selection process. They passed the test, and now they're part of the galactic community. Agent Barnes felt pieces of a cosmic puzzle falling into place. So when they made contact with us, they were following the same protocol their builders had used. Maya nodded. They were evaluating us just as much as we were evaluating them. And we passed their test by choosing peaceful contact over aggressive action. Dr. Foster was writing frantically in her notebook. This changes everything we know about first contact. Protocols. The room around them began to glow brighter as more stations around the world came online. Maya closed her eyes and let the information flow through her. I can feel them, she said softly. Hundreds of people around the world, all receiving their first downloads of knowledge. Teachers learning new ways to educate children. Doctors discovering cures for diseases. Engineers understanding how to build clean energy systems. Agent Barnes looked at his team. We need to coordinate with intelligence agencies worldwide. This is bigger than just the United States. Maya opened her eyes and looked at him seriously. Agent Barnes, you need to understand something important. This isn't about governments or nations anymore. The builders don't recognize political boundaries. They chose individuals based on character, not citizenship. Dr. Foster stopped writing and looked up. You're saying this is a human issue, not a national security issue. Exactly. The knowledge being shared will benefit all of humanity, but only if we approach it with the same spirit that got us selected in the first place. As they prepared to leave the facility, Agent Barnes realized that his job had just changed completely. He was no longer investigating a potential threat to national security. He was now part of humanity's first step toward joining a galactic community. Maya placed her hand on the crystal pillar one final time. The builders are watching how we handle this moment, she said. Everything we do from now on will determine whether humanity is ready for what comes next. Agent Barnes looked around at the amazing technology surrounding them, then back at Maya Johnson, the ordinary art student who had become humanity's bridge to the stars. Then we better make sure we do this right, he said.